San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. It is 7.5 in favor of the Niners. 44.5 is your total. Look, there's no handicap here. They're going to win the game. The Niners are going to win the game. It's just how much are they going to win the game by? Do you want to put them in a teaser leg to take it down to 1.5, or do you think that they go ahead and run this thing out and get it on up there? We saw Shanahan play his starters well into late in the game, even though they were up as big as they were this past week. Do they do that again? Who knows? No Puka Nacua for the Rams, who was a 1 week superstar, injured oblique for him. So he left practice on Wednesday, DNP on Thursday. So likely not to go for them. So it's going to be just the Tutu Atwell show for the Rams in this thing. I mean, Adam, it's the Niners are going to win. There's no real handicap. They're the better team by a mile. They're probably a top 3 to 4 team in the NFL. The Rams are a bottom 3 to 4 team. So it's just, do you feel like they run the score up, essentially, is what it comes down to.
All right, so I want to go back to something that we were talking about offline earlier this week. Steven brought up how the market has changed on San Francisco, just how much respect has come up for San Francisco in power ratings off 1 week, and saying he had not seen that without a QB change. And I think you'd have to almost look at this as a QB change, because anyone who was a little bit off on San Francisco, and I'll raise my hand, where, we talked about last week, and Matt and I both said, are we sure Brock Purdy is this good? Well, I think after last week, we just have to say, I'm not sure if it matters, right? Like San Francisco might just be able to move the football with Brock Purdy, whether he's good or not. I don't need to know individually whether he's good. I just know that this system is working. And this is going to be the first full year of Christian McCaffrey. He obviously went nuts last week. There was one big catch and run involved in that. So I played San Francisco teaser early in the week. It's going to be everyone's favorite teaser leg. For me, I have it tied to Philadelphia. Philadelphia was my anchor teaser leg for the week. And so we're home on that. But I don't want to overreact to what I saw from the Rams last week against the Seattle team that we just don't really know much about at the moment. I won't add a whole lot to the handicap, other than if San Francisco doesn't get this teaser home, then we have to probably put a statue of Sean McVay outside SoFi.
Yeah, Steven, it's just, I mean, look, it was going to be rough for the Rams. They got a great performance, again, out of a slot receiver that's not going to be out there for him now. It's just, I think it's going to be super, super tough sledding here. And like we said, I mean, look, Purdy, Adam said it perfectly. He might not have to be good. He was only the 11th graded quarterback in the week. He had 0 big time throws. He had 2 turnover worthy plays. It's the same thing as we saw last year. But it just works. It doesn't matter, I guess. Like, he doesn't have to be good. He can just be a little better than league average, and it won't matter. So, they're going to win. It's just by how much.
I mean, I'm not going to say he's Tom Brady, but in terms of very late quarterback picks in the draft, he's the next Tom Brady story. He's 7-0 as a starter now in the regular season. Niners have scored 30-plus points in all but one of his starts. In that other start, he had 117 passer rating in his first game in Seattle on a short week on a Thursday night. So you guys are with me now. Is Brock Purdy good? The answer is either yes or it doesn't matter, like Adam said. So, and to your point about shift in market rating expectation, they went from minus 160 to minus 400 in 1 week to win the division. 61.5% implied probability to 80%. So obviously Seattle tanking was a big reason for that. But stone cold teaser leg here for me for sure.
New York Giants, Arizona Cardinals. Yes, the Giants look like absolute garbage. It's not going to matter this week. The Cardinals are as bad as we thought that they were. 39.5 to 40 is your total in this one, Steven. The Giants are not as bad as they looked last week. The Cardinals are not as good as they looked last week. This is going to be a win for the Giants. My only problem on the other side of the field goal gives me some sort of pause here. If you wanted to get wacky in Survivor and you wanted to play a team that nobody else is playing, I think you could play the Giants this week. It would certainly, if you're in a massive pool out there, like you could get away with picking on the Cardinals, I think, just about every week and feel confident in it. That being said, it's just a pass for me. I just do want to this. I know it's not a muscular thing with Waller. They're saying it's like a nerve thing with his hamstring, but that at least somewhat bothers me in all of this. So Giants are going to win. I have a pretty strong conviction in that. I think the pretty much every team is going to beat the Cardinals every week, but the 4, it's probably about appropriate. So, when numbers seem appropriate to me, I just pass on them.
It's a stay away for me, even though the Cardinals are probably still the worst team in the league. And to me, it's whenever a team has offensive line concerns. Andrew Thomas banged up at the very least at this point. So I will also say, though, that I'm not giving the Cardinals defense credit for 6 sacks week 1 against Sam Howell. He had the most time of any quarterback who was pressured. He held the ball way too long on those sacks. So Cardinals don't get credit for those sacks in my mind. That was just an inexperienced quarterback. So I think Dable and Daniel Jones should be fine. Does it mean I want to bet them to win through the key numbers of 3 and 4? No. So it's a stay away from me.
Adam, what say you? It is your New York Football Giants.
Yeah, apparently I still have to claim them after last week, so I will claim the New York Giants. The only way I'm getting involved in this game is, and I believe you've heard me say this once or twice, under. I want you to think about it this way if you're thinking about the Arizona Cardinals and the New York Giants. If the Giants are to win, they generally win this kind of game with a close score, right? The only game last year that they won by running it up a little bit was against the Colts. Again, a bad team with no quarterback, so it sounds familiar, right? But the Giants went 8-4 in one-score games last year. Brian Dable wants to minimize variance with a roster that he needs to minimize variance with, and he was not able to do that last week. All of the variance came up on the Giants, and you hear us talk about game state all the time. The New York Giants cannot play in a game state where they are down 16 points when Dallas has run a handful of plays with 7 minutes remaining in the first quarter, right? A blocked field goal, that goes for a touchdown. A fluky interception / fumble, that goes for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, the Giants are in a spot where they can't chase, right? So combine that with the weather, with the Dallas pass rush. No, the Giants weren't as bad as we saw last week, but they also had all the variance go against them in that spot. I cannot endorse playing the Arizona Cardinals knowing what we know about the Cardinals, but from a side perspective, if you're going to play a side in this game, the only side I would look at is Arizona. And we've already seen people doing that, right? This game opened 5.5 and has been bet all the way down to 4. A lot of that based on what people saw from the Giants on Sunday Night Football. I know, but those offensive line problems are real for the New York Giants. It's not just the Andrew Thomas injury. The right side of that line was as bad as an NFL team can play in week 1. Evan Neal has not solved anything. Mark Lewinsky looked absolutely putrid at right guard for them. There are places to attack them. And if you believe at all that Arizona was able to generate pressure that is sustainable, Steven just said you're not going to give him credit for 6 sacks. That's fine. You still have pressures. And pressures with Daniel Jones are an issue. So if you want to look at this game and say, what do I want to do with it? I might get a look at Daniel Jones on rushing props in terms of carries, in terms of yardage. That to me might be the antidote to the offensive line problems, is a few more design runs for him in this game, but I don't want anything to do with it other than a look at the under.